Zomboys. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 5 of Zomboys.
Episode 5, The Clone Wars.
That's the one, that's what we watched today. I'm your host, Casey Lynch, here with...
Michael Smith!
Welcome to the stage! So today we saw the Don't Know the Year classic.
2014.
So today we saw the Today we saw the 2014 classic, Zombeavers. And it was a fine one.
It was a movie.
It was good.
Well,
we don't have to get super into the ratings yet. We'll get into that. It was a fine movie. I'd put it comparable rating wise to The Resort for different reasons. I think. No, you disagree?
I'd put this even a little below The Resort. Honestly, it was a little boring at times.
I think we like The Resort more. I agree The Resort viewing was better, but I think that's because of us watching the movie together and making jokes.
Yeah, this one was a little boring at times.
Yeah, any parts that weren't particularly... Any part that it wasn't funny was kind of boring, kind of just like wasting time, which, I mean, whatever.
It wasn't bad. It's a movie, because I always know that we like to talk about if we've seen the movie before. This is a movie that had been sitting on my Netflix queue for quite a long time, and I just never jumped into watching it. Always wanted to check it out, but just never took the opportunity to watch it. And
yeah, I actually I have seen this movie once before. I saw it right around when it came out, because I heard the director or one of the writers talking about it on a podcast. I don't remember which one. But he said, he's like, yeah, we made it, he kind of was like, yeah, I wanted it to be like the 80s movies that I like, the kind of schlocky 80s movies that I like, so that, I wanted to have, nudity and just, stupid action and dumb one-liners and stuff like that.
Oh, it definitely had, that 1980s kind of feel to it.
Yeah, there was some,
It was definitely, an 80s slasher movie kind of feel to it.
Yeah, but a parody, very self-aware.
Yeah,
it's only self-aware.
Yeah, it knew what it was and kind of played to its strengths of kind of being kind of that
goofy, stupid
kind of...
I mean, the name's Zombeavers. They're not, trying to make a serious horror movie.
Now, you know what I'd put this in line with almost? I'd put this almost in line with, Piranha.
Oh, sure.
That's what I'd stack this up against. It's like Zombeavers, Piranha.
Yeah.
Less nudity than Piranha.
Yeah, I don't remember how much nudity was in Piranha.
Oh, a ton.
A lot, yeah.
A ton. But
I may not have even seen the first Piranha, but I saw one of them.
Yeah,
but yeah,
kind of like that same line of humor and everything is Piranha.
Yeah, the same sort of crap, just dicking around, kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
maybe I'm being a little tough on it, but
I think you were being a little tough on it.
I would say I agree with what IMDb gave it. IMDb gave it a 4.8 out of 10.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Here's my
average.
Here's my difficulty in rating it. It's that we're watching it specifically for this podcast. So, if you like this kind of stuff, you might like this movie. But this is not if I was giving it a hard review,
if I was watching this not for the podcast, I wouldn't like it.
Yeah, I would. And I've seen it before, so yeah, I said I've seen it before, and I didn't remember almost anything about it. I didn't remember if I liked it or hated it. So I probably felt that way, whatever, it's not that great.
That's how I would feel about it. If I wasn't watching it for this podcast, I would have been like, meh.
Yeah, but I think sitting here together, laughing or whatever, it wasn't bad. There were some good jokes. Not something I'll watch again, but, if you like this kind of stuff and you're like, hey, what sort of dumb movie can we watch today? This is a fine one.
Yeah, this one's not bad. I wouldn't say don't watch this movie.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't say don't watch it. But I definitely wouldn't say definitely watch it.
It's not pro wrestlers versus zombies, where I'd say just don't waste your time.
Yeah,
with this
is fine if you want to watch it.
Yeah.
Which we kind of normally say this for the end, but whatever, we got into it.
Yeah, we kind of got into it now.
Oh no, the structure's ruined. I guess we have to end now. Time for plugs. Okay, so you can find me. No, okay.
So the quick kind of storyline with this movie. Is a fun weekend turns into madness and horror for a bunch of groupies looking for fun in a beaver-infested swamp.
Yeah, so that's it. That's what the movie is.
Yeah, and the tagline is, "You'll all be damned." but damned DAMMED.
Very nice.
Pretty good.
That's pretty spot on for the comedy in this.
Yeah, exactly. There was a lot of like puns, a lot of beaver jokes.
There was a lot of beaver jokes because obviously beaver is also slang for the vagina. So there was a lot of beaver jokes in the beginning, and they were funny. And then I was like, okay, we fucking get it. It's not funny anymore. And then one of the characters actually says, "Can we stop it with the beaver jokes?"
Yeah, and then one guy goes, "Why did the beaver cross the road?"
Oh yeah.
And took it like literally beaver jokes.
Yeah,
which I found amusing.
Yeah, it's cute. It's cute, dumb, funny stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the things like along the line like with the beaver's jokes is one of the characters later on in the movie talks about how back in the 70s there was the beaver fever that struck the area, meaning like a beaver like epidemic sickness struck the area.
Yeah, but
obviously, the whole movie's double entendre.
Yeah, you can't help but hear the word beaver in this movie and not
snicker a little
and not
bit.
Think like, okay, they're making a joke. There's a joke in there somewhere, even if we didn't hear it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so let's jump into the plot.
First, what the fuck are these things?
Oh, right.
So obviously they're zombie beavers.
They're zombie beavers.
How do they get made? There's like a toxic waste spill in the very beginning.
And we'll talk about that because that's one of the funnier scenes.
Yeah, so there was a toxic waste spill in the beginning. It sprays up on the beavers and they become like mutated zombie beavers.
Yeah.
And then also, if humans get bitten by the beavers,
they
also turn into human zombie beaver hybrid
things.
Yes,
like weird looking, funny looking monsters.
Crazy makeup.
Yeah, it's pretty good makeup.
Awesome makeup job on that.
It was a good makeup job for,
a lot of
I'm sure,
practical
low
effects in this movie. So
yeah,
that was cool.
What
do they eat?
You
don't really see. They eat people.
People, yeah, they definitely eat people. I don't think they eat anything else.
No. Can other things become the Zombeavers?
Yes.
Yep.
Definitely.
In fact, they're people and a bear.
Yeah, a bear turns into a zombie.
Zombeaver.
Which, they're in Indiana, we think.
Yeah, Indiana.
Because
that's where the plates and stuff were from.
Yeah, it was a grizzly bear. I don't think there's grizzly bears that far south. We don't have to look it up. But I'm pretty sure there's not. Tweet at me if there is, but it was just, that's fine.
So a bear turns into a zombie.
I seem to point out one thing every episode that I don't think anyone cares about but me. Like, I always have, like, one thing where I'm like, hey, this is something to note, and then you're like, who gives a shit?
Well, yeah, that's exactly I don't say it. You can see it in my eyes. I'm like, well, you know.
I seem to do that at least once per episode where I'm like, interesting fact, I don't believe there's grizzly bears in Indiana. And you're like, that's good. That's good for a comedy podcast.
Yeah. What does that have to do with the plot of the fucking movie?
Also, I noticed the beaver footprints, and they did not look like actual beaver tracks. Very interesting. Which is true. You see the beaver.
You do see beaver footprints.
I'm like, that's not beaver.
Yeah, it looked like a duck.
I know my beaver.
So
it didn't look like a duck. It looked like raccoon or something.
Could be raccoon. Could be coon.
It's fine.
Could be coon prints.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just
So, can anything else become them? Yeah, there's a bear that turns into a Zombeaver later on.
Yeah. How to kill them?
They really don't.
Yeah, they don't.
They eventually kill one by chopping off its head with a knife.
Yeah, but then it doesn't start hitting its tail, or maybe not. That might have been after.
That was before they cut its head off.
Yeah,
it hit its tail
because they like stab it in the head, and then it was dead,
and it was fine, and then it starts slapping.
And then it started slapping its tail.
So then they cut its head off.
Yeah,
and then threw that out the door. So I guess cutting their heads off. One of them gets shot in the face, and it still turns into a zombie.
Yeah,
so.
It seemed they were playing pretty fast and loose with the. I mean, there was really no rules. It's a movie called Zombeavers.
Yeah. So let's go back to that for a second. It is called Zombeavers. Yeah, There's no rules.
Let's get into the scientific analysis of how these zombies work.
You know what I did enjoy about these zombies? That the Zombeavers, a majority of the time, were animatronics.
Yeah, that was really that was really nice.
Cool. Even like when they were swimming in the lake later on, they were like. They showed them swimming in the lake, and it was just like the top, like an animatronic, like a boat or something underneath it.
Yeah.
But that's what they're using to go across the lake. So I appreciated that they used animatronics and not all CGI.
Cool. There was a little bit of CGI, but only in like the parts where it makes sense. Because if this movie,
if they used all CGI, it would have been 10 times shittier.
Oh yeah.
Because they weren't affording really good CGI.
No. And even seeing CG, like, I would say almost half of my laughs were just when the beavers would appear on screen, because they would just like pop on screen for a second, and they're well made, but they look funny. Like I'm sure they did it they made them look crappy on purpose or whatever, but they look funny. So every time they pop on screen, it's you get a good chuckle. So if they used like shitty CGI, it would have ruined this movie.
It would have been, it would have been like a sci-fi channel movie.
It literally would have ruined it. Yeah,
it would have been like Sharknado or something like that, where you're like, well, this is just really cheesy. This was at least, I enjoy when guys use practical effects and when they use like practical makeup and stuff to do stuff, because it always looks so much better than like crappy CGI.
Bad CGI is bad, and it never looks funny unless it's just funny bad.
Because rather than spending the money on bad CGI, just spend the money on
practical effects.
Sure,
why not? There was a little bit of CGI, but it was very, very sparingly, which was good. And I will admit I did like the first Sharknado.
I will admit I've watched all of the Sharknado movies.
I've not.
I've watched all of them, mainly because it's like Fast and the Furious, where I feel like I've seen one, so I need to see all of them.
Yeah.
So I've also seen all, like, 15 Fast and the Furious movies, or whatever the fuck
I have not. I've seen one Fast and the Furious movie. Maybe Tokyo Drift?
Wait until Fast and the Furious has zombies in it.
Ooh.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
They're running out of ideas.
Yeah, what are they gonna do next?
Who knows?
No, that's not really this podcast.
What are they gonna do next? New podcast starting next week.
We just have a weekly
where we come up with
weekly thing where they talk about what they can do with the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah, that's our new podcast, guys.
They're going to space. That's Cars in Space. Cars in Space.
So we've gotten derailed here for a minute.
What the fuck? What is this podcast?
So let's jump into
what were we even talking about?
Plot of this movie. Let's go over our plot synopsis here.
Yeah, let's.
So it opens with two guys in a truck, like a pickup truck.
Yeah.
And they're carrying this hazardous waste.
Yeah.
The one guy is Bill Burr, very famous comedian.
Yes.
The other guy we didn't realize until the very end.
Yes, I saw him I looked up who was in this movie, and I saw him. But we did not realize until the very end that
it's John Mayer.
Yes, it was John Mayer playing like a trucker. He has like a fake mustache on, so you can't really tell it's him. But
yeah, looking at the picture, that's definitely John Mayer.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now, definitely looking at the picture, it's definitely John Mayer.
I only noticed because I saw his character's name was Luke.
Yeah.
And in the end, I wanted to see the guy's name tag, and I saw it was Luke. I'm like, oh shit, that's John Mayer. Holy shit. Kind of funny that he was in this movie. I wonder how he got hooked up with that. I wonder how Bill Burr got hooked up with this.
I don't know. But
yeah.
They open. They're like joking around. Like Bill Burr's like telling stories. And he's like, I was in a relationship with a guy for 1 week.
Yeah, he's like, I dated a man for 1 week, and he's like, oh yeah, how was that?
And he's like, oh, how was that? He's like, oh, well, we agreed on everything, but sex was a pain.
Yeah. He's like, it wasn't the dick, it was the whiskers.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep. And John Mayer was like, yeah, well, other than the sex, it's kind of just us,
He's like, no, that's not us at
Yeah,
all.
he's like, no, that was a one-time thing. And then Bill Burr's he's driving and he's looking at his like flip phone.
Yeah, he has a flip phone. He has it like out, like he's texting
while he's driving.
And John Mayer's like, "Hey, there's a deer in the road." And you see a big deer in the road.
Like,
he's like, "Yeah, I see it." And he goes, "I don't think you do."
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the truck just smashes into this deer, and blood goes everywhere.
Yeah, it's very funny.
You see, they slam on the brakes, and one of the big containers out of the back goes bouncing into the woods.
Sure.
And he's like, how's the back to John Mayer? And John Mayer just turns around, like, in the seat and looks and goes, that's fine, I'm going to check the front. And gets out, and they see, like, there's blood and guts all over the front.
Yeah. He gets back and he's like, yeah, I don't think he's gonna make it. It's just like a pile of blood and guts.
They drive away, and now it opens with the credits to the movie, and you got like this keg of toxic chemicals kind of careening down this lake.
Yeah.
And it ends up at a beaver dam.
Yeah, and just
and then automatically ends up at the beaver dam.
Yeah, and
then just springs a leak where it shoots all the shit out.
Yeah, it just shoots right up onto the beavers.
Like it was pressurized.
Like it doesn't like leak into the lake. It just like shoots right onto them.
Yeah, shoots right onto the beavers.
Which was weird because it was both on the beaver dam and the beaver lodge, which was further away.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it got onto both, but who cares?
I don't know. Maybe like it got on the beavers and carried it over there.
Sure, that's fine. That's fine. We don't need any more description than that.
It sprays the beavers.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to this girl in a bathroom at like it looks like a gas station bathroom.
Like a truck stop.
And you find out later it is a gas station bathroom.
Yeah.
And she's like texting like with this guy, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and she's like,
"You're a liar."
Yeah, you're a liar.
You are a liar.
Yeah, you are
Yeah, why didn't she?
a liar.
What was the point of that space? What
don't know.
a waste of a character.
So she types that in, and then like she's doing like her makeup on her face. Somebody bangs on the door, and it's a guy, and he goes, "I need to take a shit."
Yeah.
She yells it in the thing.
Yeah.
And so she like packs up her stuff and goes out. And it's like this weird old truck driver guy.
Yeah,
and he's like,
in
fact, the character on IMDb is creeper at gas station.
Yep.
is the character description. Creeper at gas station.
Good description.
And he's like, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, the women's bathroom was broken." He's like, "No, that's fine. I'll do anything for you." and then she like goes and like walks away, and he looks at her, and then runs in the bathroom.
Yeah, like he really had to take a shit.
He had to really take a shit, and so then she gets into the car. And they're driving. You find out that her boyfriend cheated on her.
Yeah.
And they're going up to this cabin to have like a girls' weekend with no guys
it's 3
around.
girls and a dog.
And the one girl's like, "Oh, well, we should invite the guys."
Yeah.
And they're like, "No." And
The girl who was sad's name is Jen.
yeah.
The girl who is being the girl who's driving's name is Mary.
And they got Zoe.
Yeah,
Who
Zoe.
is Zoe. So
Yeah.
Zoe.
That's how you say that, right?
That's what I'm gonna say for now. It's Zoe.
Hey, Zoe. Yeah, so her friend Mary is driving, and she's like being really supportive. She's like, "No, come on, no boys. Boys are not allowed. There's no phones. This is a girls' weekend. We just need to Jen needs to relax and heal." And Zoe is just being such a bitch. She is so awful to her friends.
She's looking at pictures of a dick on her
Oh, yeah,
phone.
yeah.
Just like
She's
scrolling
like-
through her phone, and they're like, "Oh, well, what are you gonna miss?" And she's like, "Oh, just about like 6 inches." And then it shows her phone, and she's just looking, like while she's sitting with her friends, just looking at pictures of a dick.
Yes.
And I was like, "That's weird."
Yeah, and I was like, "That's a dildo." It looked exactly like a
It
dildo.
did, but I think they meant it to be a dick. Like,
Oh no,
like
no.
dick pictures.
Yes, obviously she wasn't like,
it
"I miss
looked-
my dildo." Yeah.
But it was fucking. I was like, what, "This is
She's
weird."
just like looking at pictures of her boyfriend's dick.
just on her phone, just sitting there with her
Just
friends.
swiping like she's got just a whole row of them.
And there's like 3 pictures
Yeah,
in
and
a row.
they're like all basically the same, just slightly
just-
different angles.
Right in a row. You're,
Just like,
you're missing what I'm doing with my hand, but I'm
he's
swiping,
swiping.
my palm.
Yeah.
Like I'm swiping through my phone.
Yeah, so that was weird. But yeah, she is being so awful to Jen the whole
She's
time.
being awful the entire movie.
Yeah, like
They get to like the lake house and they get out and she's like, "Oh, are we stopping for gas here too?"
yeah,
And
they're in a fucking house.
and she's like, "Oh, what, did somebody put garbage in the middle of the lake?"
Yeah,
And that's like the swimming platform.
yeah. So she's
terrible.
She's an idiot and she's horrible. Like 15 minutes into this movie, I was like, "Why are they friends with her?
Yeah.
She's a monster."
Yeah, you find out they're like sorority sisters. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
but still, like sororities aren't 3 people. Like, why would
No.
they like?
Well,
why would they?
why
off?
would they pair off with her? Yeah.
Yeah, she is horrible.
And she has like this southern accent
Yeah.
that comes and goes.
Yeah, I could not tell.
And like I don't know, I feel like Indiana doesn't have southern accents.
Yeah, not really. It's a little too north for that, isn't
I
it?
thought so, but I don't know. If you're from Indiana and you have a southern accent,
Yeah, I don't know anyone from
it's
Indiana.
probably
so.
fake. So stop faking your southern
stop
accent.
faking it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, accents are weird all over the country, so who
Yeah,
knows?
so she like what I disagreed with was like the accent's there sometimes, and then other times just disappears
yeah,
completely.
because sometimes it was a really thick accent.
Yeah, and then other times it was just not there.
Yeah, so then it might have been fake. But
So they
who
show
cares?
up at like this cabin, and they get out, and an old woman comes, and like the neighborly old woman comes over.
Yeah, and Mary, whose house this is her cousin's, so she
This is her cousin's house. So
she's like, "Be nice. This is a neighbor. Be nice."
yeah, so she comes over,
Basically telling Zoe not to be an ass.
Mrs. Gregerson.
Okay.
She comes over and she's like, "Oh, coming up here to like relax in between finals and like all your exams and stuff." And Zoe goes, it was supposed to be like a sex tree,
Yeah.
a huge like sex vacation.
Yeah, she's being such a monster to this nice old
And she's
lady.
like, "Oh, never mind. None of us have ever had sex." And the old lady's like, "Oh," she's like, "Don't worry about it." She's like, "My daughter brings home all kinds of people.
Yeah.
I can't tell whether they're men or women or,
Yeah, she's
or
like
what
an-
they are, and she's not even attractive."
Yeah,
And I
she-
was
she's like, "We don't judge. I'm liberal, but my daughter's not even attractive. I don't get it."
And so now
Yeah.
they go inside and they hang out inside for a little bit, and
Yeah.
the one girl's like, "Oh, I have to go to the bathroom." Jen goes, "Oh, I have to go
Yeah.
to the bathroom." She goes to the bathroom, pulls out her phone to try and text her her ex-boyfriend, and she doesn't have any cell phone service.
Yeah.
Then the other girl's like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom too. I'm just gonna go. Zoe's like, I'm just gonna go on the couch because there's only one bathroom.
She's like, I'm going.
So she goes and bangs on the door, and then Jen leaves and goes onto the couch.
I'm sorry to bring up all their names.
Yeah. Now I'm like, damn.
Because I looked up their names, and now he's like, fuck, I didn't know their names this whole time.
Now I'm like, now I'm going to have to say all their names.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
So Zoe goes into the bathroom. It's like, oh, only one bathroom. Pain in the ass, huh? And so then Jen goes out and is talking with the other girl, with Mary, and she's like, oh, no cell phone service. That's what Mary says.
Yeah.
And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, it's all defensive.
Yeah.
And long story short, they talk about, like, oh, well, you're not supposed to be talking with the guy.
Yeah, this is when the movie gets a little boring, is when they're just like talking and hanging out.
And then they're like, oh, let's get changed to go swimming.
Yeah,
and they go outside to go swimming in the lake.
Yeah.
And so they go out swimming in the lake, and the one girl's topless. Zoe's topless.
Zoe's topless.
She gets topless like immediately as soon as they walk outside.
Yeah.
Just takes off her top, and they're like, "Well, what are you doing?" They're like, "There's people around." And they're like, "Oh, only that old lady."
Yeah,
she's like, "If I'm secluded, then I'm gonna have a tan with no lines."
Yeah. So she's topless.
So they swim out, I guess, to the dock. Bank.
The little platform in the middle.
And they're laying there, and they see the beaver dam. Jen sees the beaver dam.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's that over there? And they're like, oh, it's a beaver dam.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I've never seen a beaver.
Yeah, so she swims like right over to it, like
like she jumps in the water to swim over and look at it.
Like right into at the dam, like not like swim to the shore and then walk over to it. Just like swims like right up to the dam almost.
Swims right up to the dam, and then gets out of the water.
Like beaver have like super sharp teeth and they bite through trees. I would not want to like disrupt their habitat like that.
Not at all.
I just thought it was a dumb move.
They all jump in the water and swim over there.
Yeah.
And so they get to the beaver dam, and it's covered with like this green, like sludge-looking,
yeah,
almost like dried Nickelodeon slime.
Yeah, it looked like what do they call that? I don't know, whatever.
Gack.
Gack.
It looked like Gack.
I was gonna say slack, but no, yeah, Gack.
Yeah, it looked like Gack or Squand.
Yeah.
Squand. Yeah, there's this stuff back in the 90s that like kids all played with.
Sure.
It was like pliable sand.
Yeah.
So it looked like that, like green Squand.
You guys like our references?
You like our 90s references?
We're 90s kids, get it?
So they have like this Nickelodeon slime all over the thing. And Zoe goes, it looks like beaver piss.
Yeah.
And you're like, it looks like green beaver piss. First off, how do you know what beaver piss looks like? And two, I feel like it wouldn't look like that.
No, even if like they ate like a bunch of green stuff, it wouldn't look like gack.
No.
Or squand.
Or squand.
Or let's see, what else? What else do we got? Yeah, it looks so bizarre, and they were so quickly like, yeah, sure, it's probably just beaver piss. Weird.
And they're like, and she's like, oh, still topless, by the way.
Yeah,
she swam over here, now it's just standing out in the open topless again.
Yeah, still topless.
And then they're like, oh, she's like,
oh, maybe they're just marking their territory.
She's like,
or whatever.
oh, knock on it and see if you can get one to come out.
Yeah.
And she's like, they don't live in there, idiot. That's what Mary's like. They don't live in there. They live in the lodge.
Yeah.
And then they look over at the lodge, and that's also covered with the green beaver piss.
Squand.
Yeah, with the squand. They just rubbed squand all over.
Yeah.
They went to KB Toys and got all the squand.
Oh man, all you young kids have no idea what the fuck we're saying right now.
So they do that, and then like this guy, there's a bear.
Oh,
there's
yeah,
like a 6.5, 7 foot grizzly.
It's a grizzly bear, which I don't think. I'm not sure, but I don't think grizzly bears.
You brought this up already.
Oh, I did?
You brought this up already
okay.
about grizzly bears.
I forgot.
Stop it with the damn grizzly bears.
Now, if it was a black bear, that'd be different.
Nobody cares what bears live where. All right, there, Dwight Schrute. So,
listen. Okay.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. So,
never seen it.
They
and I don't like beats, really.
Now there's a hunter comes, he shoots his gun in the air
to
scare the bear off. This hunter comes over. At first, when I saw the hunter from afar, I thought the hunter was Jim Gaffigan.
Oh, really?
It looked like Jim Gaffigan from afar.
Yeah,
with,
maybe
the
with like some,
stuff.
maybe
and
like.
then he talked, and I was like, nope, that's not Jim Gaffigan's weird voice that he does on stage.
Yeah,
that can't be. It could be Jim Gaffigan's real voice.
He did keep saying hot pockets, but that might have been something for some. That might have been for some other reason.
So this hunter comes over, and he's like,
he seems very creepy, and he's like standing there, like staring at them.
And he's like, oh, bears don't usually attack people like if there's more than one or two, and he's like, and you are three.
Yeah.
So you're like, all right. So this hunter's like a weirdo to begin with,
Yeah.
and they're like, and he's like, what are you doing out here? And they're like, oh, looking for beavers. And he goes, aren't we all?
Yeah.
And I was like, all right.
Yeah. And then right after that, he's like, yeah, and you should cover up. And they're like, oh, she lost her top in the lake.
And he's like, no, I mean all of you. And they're all just like wearing like bikinis.
Yeah,
And he's like, no, I mean all of you with your exposed bellies and your weird tattoos.
Yeah. He's like, we got their families around here and kids.
Yeah.
And
I just me with your weird tattoos.
Yeah. And he just made a joke about looking for beavers.
Yeah.
So.
And in the rest of the movie, he curses like a fucking sailor.
Yeah, yeah.
So they got this guy, Beaver Man.
Yeah, the hunter.
And now the girls, they all go back to the cabin. And now it's like nighttime, and they're like eating popcorn, and they're playing Would You Rather. And the one has a crazy Would You Rather question.
Oh wait, hold on. Does Jen get scratched by the beavers?
Not
No.
yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Why do I? Okay.
She gets scratched.
Oh, that's tomorrow.
Yeah, but tomorrow on the podcast.
Tomorrow.
We're going to discuss that part tomorrow.
We're going to release an episode tomorrow, so stay tuned. No. Yeah.
So
my bad.
They go back to the cabin. Now it's nighttime, and they're like eating popcorn and playing Would You Rather.
Yeah.
And the one comes up with this.
It must
Would
have
you
been
rather
Zoe,
question.
right?
Yeah, Zoe comes up with this because the one's like, "Oh, would you rather not be able to use lipstick or not be able to use a tampon?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "That's a stupid question. How about would you rather watch your dad murder your mom, or would you? This is Zoe's thing. Or would you rather would you rather have your dad rape you while your mom has to watch?"
Yeah.
And they're all like, "What the fuck kind of question is
and
that?"
And she's like, "Come on, Jen, you got to answer. You got to pick one. And she's like, "I guess get raped by my dad."
And they're like, "Ew, gross."
They're like, "Oh God, that's so fucked up."
And they're like, "Oh, you'd want your mom to die?" And Mary's like, "I wouldn't have chose either of those."
Yeah.
It was like a classic, like little kid, like oh,
tricked you.
Gotcha.
So that was
terrible.
funny. Yeah, it's funny they're just being assholes or whatever.
So they're playing that, and then they hear a bang noise outside.
Yeah.
So Zoe goes outside with a flashlight, and they're all kind of standing in the doorway.
They're like, oh no, Zombeavers finally come.
And she's like,
you've
serial killer.
You've like seen the Zombeavers a few times, right?
You haven't seen them. You've seen like points of view shot. Of them like spying on people.
So you know they're around.
Yeah. So she goes outside and she's like, "Oh, serial killers."
Yeah. There's 3 young girls in here all alone.
Yeah. So they do that. They're
Classic
like, "Stop messing
Zoe.
around." And she goes out into the woods area.
Yeah.
And the 2 other girls come out on the front porch, and the door slams behind them. And they start freaking out, and then all of a sudden, Mary's boyfriend, just farts really loud. Tommy.
He runs towards them and then just farts.
And then just farts really loud.
Which I always hate fart jokes.
So Tommy, Buck is Zoe's boyfriend. He's also there, and he shows up with Zoe, and then Sam is
Jen's
ex-boyfriend.
He cheated on her.
Yeah.
And like, why would he show up? Like, I get that he's trying to get back together with her, but why would you show up to a weekend thing?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing.
And they're so bizarre.
And Tommy was like, "Oh, well, like I didn't want to come up here. Like I kept saying like we shouldn't." And that Buck just kept going, "No, we're gonna go."
Yeah, Buck
and he's like, "My dick's asleep." Buck starts
oh my God,
dick's asleep. He's like, "You gotta wake it up.
Yeah,
you gotta wake it up."
He's Zoe's boyfriend, so he's
just as obnoxious as she is.
He is the perfect counterpart for her. He's an asshole, an obnoxious asshole.
Oh, by the way, the hunter's name is Smith.
Okay.
But spelled with a Y.
Oh yeah, he says that.
This whole thing, he's like, "My name's Smith," because they introduce themselves, and he goes, "My name's Smith." He's like, with a Y. In case you ever need to write me a check one day. I was like, is that supposed to be a joke?
Yeah, what was that?
I don't get it. I don't get that joke.
Yeah, that was weird.
So now the guys are there, and Jen's like, "That's fine." She's like, "The guys can stay, whatever."
Yeah, because they're like, obviously Zoe and Buck are being really obnoxious, and so she's like, "All right, fuck it, fine, you can stay."
Yeah, you guys can stay. And so, like, they all go inside, and they start banging immediately.
Yeah, so, like, they go in, and they're like, "We're all adults, this doesn't have to be awkward." They go in, and it cuts immediately to the 2 couples banging loudly in the room, and Jen and Sam just sitting on a couch, like, far away from each other, that's just, like, awkwardly silent.
Yeah, just, like, sitting on the couch. Then it cuts to, like, Zoe and Buck having sex in the room.
Yeah.
And he's yelling, like, crazy things.
Yeah, what is he yelling?
He's like, the one thing he's like, "You're way too good for me."
Yeah.
He's like, "You're way too hot for me. I don't know why you're with me."
She's like, "I know."
And you're like, "What?" I'm like, what is going on?
It was weird.
It was insane.
That was weird.
And so now they're sitting on the couch. Jen and Sam are sitting on the couch, and they're going through. She's like talking, and
she's like, "Do I know her?" You know, she shows him.
She shows him like this picture that's on her phone of him making out with a girl, and you see the back of her head, and you're like, "Well, that's Mary."
Yeah.
Like, right away, I saw it, and I was like, "Well, that's Mary's hair." Then
yeah.
He was making out with Mary.
I don't think the first time I saw this I realized that, but you called it like right away.
Yeah. So. And he's like, oh, I was really drunk, and, like, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And, like, he tries to touch her, and she's like, don't touch me,
Yeah,
and gets up and, like, storms away.
Yeah, she's like, is it someone I know? And he's like, doesn't answer, and she gets all pissed and storms away.
And, like, he gets up and, like, grabs her, and he's like, listen, and he's like, let me make it up to you, and she's like, I'll scream, and he's like, join the club.
And it's kind of like, okay,
and, like, he, like, kisses her, and, like, she, like, makes out with him a
like,
little bit.
Yeah, she's into it for, like, a second, or, like, seemingly, or whatever, and like, caught up in the moment. And he, like,
rubs her leg, and he's like, oh, I've missed you so much. And she knees him real hard in the balls.
It was kind of great, because
he, like, falls down on the ground.
Yeah, he's been an asshole.
Like, oh, me too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been an asshole this whole time, and obviously cheated on her, so there's, like, that added thing.
Yeah.
But when he gets kneed in the ball, it is so funny. She's like, yeah, I missed you, too, and she walks away.
And he just, like, falls down on the ground.
Yeah. Did she go to the bathroom then?
Yeah, I think she went to, like, one of the bedrooms, and then it cuts to the other two couples just kind of, like, hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
Like, in the bedroom. And then it cuts to her going to take, like, a shower.
Oh, yeah.
It cuts to Jen gonna go take a shower. Yeah. And she's, like, getting undressed, and she opens up the shower curtain, and there's a Zombeaver inside. And it looks insane.
It's insane looking.
It's the first time you see the Zombeaver.
And I fucking cracked up. It is great.
It's a full animatronic.
Yeah.
And it's got, like, a bloody-looking face and white eyes. Its eyes are white.
I think it was, like, light green.
Yeah, it could be light green,
yeah, whatever.
White. Could be a light blue. Could
yeah.
Be like a bluish color.
Could have been, like, tinted white.
Tinted white with, like, a little tint of blue.
A little tint of a cool color.
So,
hold on, let's think. What color was it?
It might have been mauve.
Oh, no. What are you, a fucking idiot? Might have been eggshell, if anything.
So they, an opaque...
Or off-white.
Yeah. So they,
Or,
so
it could have been, no,
God damn it.
Go ahead.
She screams, and, they run out into the living room.
Yeah, and she, like, slams the door and runs out.
And, like, jumps on the couch, and, like, the rest of them now all come out of the bedroom. She's like, oh my god, there was something in there. And,
she says it's a beaver.
Yeah, she says it's a beaver.
She says, like, oh, it must be rabbit or something. It's fucking terrifying or whatever.
Yeah, so the one guy grabs a baseball bat, and they, like, walk closer to the thing, and he opens up the door.
Yeah.
Well, Sam has a baseball bat initially, then Tommy grabs the baseball bat from him.
He's like,
Sam's being a pussy.
Yeah.
And, he grabs the baseball bat from him and kicks in the door and, like, rips open the curtain.
There's
nothing in there.
Yeah.
So now...
So then Buck goes in.
So now Buck goes in. It's like, oh my god, it's a horror movie bathroom. Yeah. It's like being a dick.
He's being a real asshole.
And then all of a sudden the Zombeaver bursts out of the cabinet and like, bites his leg.
Yeah.
And he falls down on the ground. He grabs his leg.
Did it bite him?
Yeah, it like scratches his leg.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't really matter. We'll get into that later.
Scratches his leg initially.
Yeah,
and then later he gets his leg eaten off.
Yes.
He gets his foot eaten off.
I was going to save that reveal. Because that's a funny reveal.
Initially it scratches him.
Yeah.
And he's like grabbing his leg. And
then so...
So then Tommy just beats this thing to death with the baseball bat. Literally splits it in half.
Yeah.
And then grabs it, puts it in the garbage bag, and just throws it out on the front porch.
Yeah, which like you've never mind.
You with the bears again. I guarantee you're going to mention bears.
I was going to get into bear safety tips, but I guess I don't have to.
You know, when you go camping, you shouldn't leave food or dead animals outside your campsite. You should put those up in a tree.
It's true.
Because it might attract bears.
It would attract a bear. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. All right. Be careful out there, hikers.
So now it's the next morning, and they're all going to go swimming in the lake. Mm-hmm. And Jen's like all apprehensive about doing it because she's like, "Oh, well, there's going to be more beavers in there." And they go out on the porch, and the beaver's gone. Yeah. And there's the footprints that they don't say what animal it is. They imply that it was the beaver that kind of walked out of the garbage can, out of the garbage bag.
Oh, you mean the movie?
Yeah, they imply that it was the beaver that kind of walked out of the garbage bag, but they never explicitly say, like, oh, those are beaver tracks.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, some animal must have came and, like, took it out of the bag to, like, go eat it.
Yeah, because it's actually really dangerous to just leave food outside your campsite.
Because there might be bears or
raccoons. You could attract bears.
Or raccoons.
You could. Or, any source of coyotes, there's wolves in some parts. I don't know.
So,
no, God, there's probably not.
There's
probably not wolves in Illinois, but there are foxes.
Well, they weren't in Illinois, so they were in Indiana.
What? Oh yeah, duh.
So totally different state.
Okay, that's what I meant. No wolves in Indiana.
So
You got foxes, you got red foxes, you probably got gray foxes in Indiana.
God damn it. That's it, guys. I'm ending the podcast today. I can't take it anymore.
What other dangerous critters you got?
So they go out to the lake, and
I'm having a fun time.
she's sitting on the lake's edge on like a blanket.
Because she correctly doesn't want to go into this lake when she was just attacked by a rabid beaver. And even if you don't know it's a Zombeaver, it's still like, okay, the rabies might be in like the rest of them. So stay out of the fucking lake.
So so the rest of them are either swimming in the lake. That's where Tommy, Buck, and Zoe are.
Yeah.
And then Mary and Sam are on the platform,
with
and
JJ.
they're talking about. Sam's like, "Oh,
JJ is the dog.
Did she realize that? Yeah, there's a dog there. I don't think we mentioned that there was a dog this entire time.
they have a dog.
But that comes into play when it gets eaten by beavers in about 2 minutes.
Yes.
So he's like, "Oh, did she know? Like, does she know that it was me? That it was you that I was making out with?" And she's like, "No, and it's gonna stay that way." And blah 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 blah.
Yeah. She's like, "I'm gonna stay with whatever.
I'm gonna stay with Tommy.
I'm gonna stay with Tommy.
If you're lucky, you'll get to stay with Jen.
Yeah.
So now they're trying to convince Zoe or Jen to come into the water.
Yeah.
And finally, they get her to like
Buck's
walk into the
come
water
on, peer pressure.
Yeah, Buck goes peer pressure.
Yeah.
And she like steps in like up to like maybe her calves in the water.
Yeah, very, very.
And she like freaks out. She's like, "Oh, something swam past my feet." And they're like, "Oh, now Buck, you think he's fucking around?"
Yeah, then he gets like sucked under.
He gets sucked under, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Buck did too."
Yeah.
And then blood comes up, the lake, and Buck comes up and like screams, and his foot just floats up.
No, he's holding it.
Yeah, he's holding his foot.
He comes up screaming, and he's holding his foot in his hand.
He's holding his foot.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh my god!" Then Tommy gets pulled under.
Oh, yeah.
Tommy then gets pulled under. Then he pops up, and they're like, "Swim for the thing." So they swim for the dock.
I don't think Tommy gets bit, though.
Tommy doesn't get bit.
Yeah, so how do you get pulled under?
I don't know.
Yeah,
they never explain it.
Who cares?
He may have gotten bit, but he...
Oh, yeah. He turns later,
he turns
but
at the end,
could have been from anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever.
This movie's a little cloudy in some parts. So...
Yeah, the plot is not really the point of this movie.
Nah, so Jen runs, like, back to the house, and then, you see, she picks up a phone and, like, tries to call, like, 911 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it zooms out to the outside, and you see that the beavers have chewed through the phone lines.
There's claw marks on the, like, the phone box, like, they cut it... which, by the way, beavers don't have sharp enough claws to cut their metal.
So anyway.
Although, it could have been the Zombear.
Yeah, it could have been the Zombear.
It could have coordinated.
So, they go...
I really thought I would get a laugh on that one.
No, not at all.
No.
It wasn't funny. Everybody, don't laugh at any of Casey's jokes now for the rest of the thing.
Come on, guys. I'm really funny.
So
My mom told me I'm funny.
So they, so now they're on the dock, and the beavers are like busting through the bottom of the dock, like all freaking out, and they're all surrounding the dock.
They're like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?"
The one guy goes, "I know what I'll do to
Sam.
get the fuck out of this." Yeah, Sam goes, "I know what it'll do to get out of this," and grabs the dog and throws it
just
into
fucking chucks it into the water, away from the house.
He has some sort of crazy quote that he says when he does it.
Does he?
Yeah, he says.
I don't remember the quote. I just remember I laughed because he threw the dog in the water.
Yeah, he throws the dog in the water,
which makes sense. But it was funny to see that he was like, "Well, fuck it, sorry, dog."
And the dog starts swimming away, and then the beavers are all chasing it, and they're obviously like remote controlled boats with beaver tops on top of it, and
yeah, and then they swims away.
Then the dog gets eaten all up.
Yeah.
And then they all are able to get back to the house. While this is going on.
Yeah, they jump in and they swim back and they get back and board themselves up in the house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, while they're doing this, Jen is in the house and there's a beaver in the house.
Yeah, there's a beaver in the house and it attacks her. It's the beaver that they split in half with the baseball bat earlier. And like she like jumps up on the counter and grabs like a knife and it's crawling towards her and she stabs it in the head and pins it to the counter with its head stabbed.
And we know it's the one that they hit with the bat because it splits it like as it's crawling towards her, it's like insides are like slowly like splitting in half.
More.
Like it got stuck or something and it just kept going for her. So yeah, so she gets scratched. That's when she gets scratched.
Yeah, she gets scratched in the leg at that point.
Yes. And so this is like the middle of the day or maybe the morning because it's like the first thing they do.
Yeah, so like middle of the day, morning, something like that. And they go into the house, so now they're all in the house, and it's like almost nighttime at that point then.
Yeah, they really just it's like a quick cut to night, really.
Yeah, and so now they're all in the house, and I don't remember what else happens in this movie other than like the regular zombie action.
Yeah, I think they just like start drinking or whatever.
Yeah, so they like do that. Then they hear
what
like
the fuck happens?
They hear like a bunch of noise outside.
Yeah,
and they see all the beavers are all outside. And then they notice that their beaver that's in the house is like smacking its tail on the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they cut off. The guy stabs it in the head, cuts off its head, and like shows it to the beavers outside. It's like, "Is this what you want?"
Yeah,
and throws the head out there.
Yeah,
and like all the beavers like make like an angry noise.
Yeah,
and you're like, "All right, cool." And then they decide
I thought the gore was nice in this movie too.
Yeah, the gore wasn't overly done.
It wasn't ridiculous over the top. It looked like kind of maybe just realistic. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. So then they decide that they need to get the dick guy.
Oh, Buck.
Buck.
Because he has no foot.
To the hospital because he has no foot.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, he's going to die. So, and he was like sleeping really calm on the couch.
Yeah.
I feel like if I got my foot bitten off, I'd be like, oh my God!
Yeah.
And be like in extreme pain the entire time.
He was never really freaking out.
He was just kind of like sleeping on the couch, like, like normal. Holding onto his foot in a plastic
oh yeah,
bag.
He's like cuddling with his foot in a plastic bag on ice.
So they decide that they need to
I would assume that he like passed out from too much blood loss or something. I'll attribute it to that.
I would think so,
shock.
but then he's up walking
like
a minute later
sure.
when they decide that they need to go to bring him to town to like get him medical
He's
attention.
like out of it though.
So,
but whatever, it's not important.
They have to take the girl's car because the guy's car's parked way down the road.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense. He said we parked it down the road. Why did they do that?
So the girls didn't hear the car pull up so they could scare him.
Oh, yeah. He gives a different reason, though. Oh, yeah, she's like, we told you not to come. And he's like, that's why we parked down the road?
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
It was some
like
weird
that.
reason.
It was because they didn't want the girls to know that they were there until like they were able to scare him.
But like, what a dumb reason to have your car parked down the road, like as a prank. I don't know.
No, they parked it down there so they could sneak up on the house. It makes sense.
It was a hilarious prank.
It makes sense. The prank wasn't that they parked their car down the road. That's not the prank. That's not the prank.
I don't think that's the prank.
That's not the prank at all.
To be like, I don't know. It seems like, why would... Okay, we don't have to talk about the prank. It just seems like a dumb move to do, to be like, let's prank these girls, this one I cheated on, but let's prank them anyways.
I mean, they're all stupid college kids.
Fair enough.
I mean, they don't think it's a good idea.
I don't know why I'm sticking. I gotta stick. Whatever.
So anyway,
I can't speak.
They all go. Tommy, Buck, and Zoe get into the car, and it's a Prius.
Yeah.
And they're gonna go drive to town to get him medical attention because his foot's bit off,
and then to get help to the cabin.
So they go and they take off, and they run outside. No beavers come after them. They all climb in the car. They take off down the road.
Yeah.
Now it's Mary, Jen, and Sam are in the house.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I'll take care of this," and like is like pushing a TV in front of the door, but like he can't do it.
He's like, "I need help."
Yeah, he's
it's
like,
too heavy.
Help, and like a girl does it by herself.
Mary's like, "You really are a pussy," and pushes it.
And they're like nailing like boards on the windows
and he's like,
stuff.
He's like almost looking at the camera, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna board this place up, and I'm gonna make it safe for you guys."
He's not talking to anybody.
And while he's doing it, they're boarding up the windows.
Yeah, they're doing everything behind them.
Like he's a real piece of shit.
So they get in the car, they take off, they get to a certain part on the road, and
there's a felled tree.
There's a tree falling across the road.
Yeah.
And you look at it and you're like, oh, the beavers chewed through it and blocked the road.
The beavers are smart.
He gets out and he's like, oh, there's a pickup truck back there. Looks in the pickup truck and sees that there's guns and
an axe
in there.
Which is a different axe later on.
Yeah, it was a different axe.
It's a double-headed axe?
It's a double-headed axe.
And then later it's a fire axe.
Yeah, and then later on it is a fire axe.
Yeah, which is weird.
So,
I have a feeling they had the double-headed axe, and then when a character uses the axe later to limp, I have a feeling they did double-headed axe, they were like, oh, it's kind of dangerous to hold it on the top like that.
Probably.
Because it's probably sharp on the top, and they're like, oh, whoops.
I don't care what their choice between... I don't care what their choice of changing the prop was. That's not important.
I'm just saying.
That's not the important part of this movie.
That's probably why that happens.
That's not the important part of this movie.
Don't you turn on me, motherfucker. Some of my points are important. It's important to consider these things and analyze. That's what we're doing, analyzing shitty movies. Asshole.
Fuck, now I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, they get the axe and the gun.
So they get the axe. He gives her the axe, and he's like, oh, go take the car back to the cabin, I'm gonna go for help on foot, like go ahead on foot. And she gets into the car to get Buck out, and then all of a sudden you hear a tree fall, and it's a tree fell on
right on top
Tommy,
of him,
and to kill him, dropped a tree on him.
Like the beavers
she's like,
are that good.
And she gets out with Buck, and a beaver jumps at her to attack her. Then a gunshot happens, and it's Smith with a Y.
Yeah, it hits it right out of midair, which is a great shot.
And
he was just in the woods.
He comes out of the woods. And he's like, "Oh, get in my truck."
Yeah.
And so they get in his truck. They go back to the house, and
they're trying to get in, but it's all
boarded up. So they go, "Fuck this!"
And why this is happening? And zombies are chewing through the boards. Obviously,
yeah, zombies are chewing through the boards,
and they're fighting off the zombies in the best way because it's funny. It looks stupid.
It does look
but
stupid.
It's not overly ridiculous where it's trying to be slapstick. It's just them kind of jabbing stupidly at it and
jabbing sticks at it.
Yeah, and
jabbing
swinging
a baseball bat at it.
Yeah, a bat, but he's not swinging hard like you would if a monster was trying to eat you. He's just kind of poking at it. So I thought that was funny.
Yes.
That gave me a few chuckles.
Yeah, that was enjoyable there.
Yeah. So they're we can't get the boards off, just go to the neighbor's house, basically.
Yeah, well, they never really say that, because they keep trying to get the boards off.
Yeah, they're trying to. And Sam is no, fuck them, basically.
Yeah, so the guys are alright, they're the Hunter Smith and Zoe are they start to run towards the house, instead of getting in the truck, which they should have done.
Why didn't they get in the truck?
They run across the field.
Yeah, with Buck.
And get into the house, into the neighbor's house, which a little bit before this, saw that a beaver got into the neighbor's house.
Yeah, there was a cute scene between the old lady we saw before and her husband. Where she's I hear lots of noise over there, and he's
well, yeah, of course, it's the college kids scissoring each other.
They're probably scissoring the Lady Gaga. It's college kids.
Yeah, so...
She's should we go over there and check? He's if I go over there, I might not be coming back.
Yeah, so then he reaches down to pet his dog, and you see that there's now a beaver there instead of his dog.
He was petting his dog, and then it just is replaced with this Zombeaver.
And so they come into the house now, and they look around, and they find his dead body on the floor next to the phone, and they look and they see that the phone cord is chewed through. And then they go upstairs, and while this is going on, it goes back to the house, and they're all kind of sitting on the floor in the house, looking through...
Oh, they're reading
a book about beavers.
An animal encyclopedia or something.
And they're learning about beavers. They find out beavers are good tunnelers.
So they all get off the floor real quick.
And he's oh, one day... Because the one thing is oh, the beavers are monogamous, and Jen's oh, not like us.
Yeah.
And he's well, one day when we get out of this, we can all sit down like adults and find out why you both find me attractive.
Yeah, he's such a piece of shit.
And so...
Oh, God, he's a fucking monster.
Jen, storms off and, goes to bed, and Mary's oh, my head hurts, I'm gonna go lay down.
Yeah.
So that happens... the Hunter guy Smith opens up the door where the old woman's room
and
is.
sees her on the bed, all bloodied and dead.
Yeah,
and he opens the door. He goes, okay.
He goes,
closes the door.
Right. And he closes the door. Just closes the door right. And I was this guy's awesome.
It was so funny. Just okay.
And so now while that's happening,
he's upstairs is clear.
While that's happening, Mary's laying on the bed. And Jen comes in and climbs on top of her almost sexily
It was very sexual.
Oh, I knew you weren't upset that I made out with him. It was that
it was me.
It wasn't that he made out with somebody. It was that it was me because you have these feelings for me and blah blah blah.
And she's like,
I don't feel like that towards you. It was a very sexual scene. And then all of a sudden you see her fingernails start growing like crazy, like beaver claws.
Yeah.
Sharp beaver claws that can cut through metal.
Yeah.
And then it goes to her face and her teeth fall out.
Yeah, it was gross.
2 big buck teeth come out.
Yeah, 2 big
She's turning into a fucking crazy beaver.
Yeah, she turned quickly.
This movie took a crazy turn.
It turned so quickly. I had forgotten that this happened.
Because I said to you earlier, I was what happens if they get bitten?
Yeah,
and you're I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't.
And I was I was joking around. I was maybe they turn into beavers. Joking.
And they kind of do.
What they fucking do.
They kind of turn into beavers.
She grows a tail and shit.
Oh yeah, she's got a tail later.
She's got a tail.
Yeah. She's so she turns into a beaver.
So she turns into a crazy beaver person.
And is trying to bite Mary.
And Sam comes in and smacks her with a baseball bat.
Knocks her over.
And they run into a room and close the door.
Yeah, they run out of the room and close the door and board it up.
Yeah, and board it up. So now they're in the living room area.
And she's they're what is she doing in there? And she's basically twerking with her tail, just
slapping
on the ground.
Her tail on the ground.
It's so stupid
Almost
looking.
calling the other beavers in.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what beavers do with their tail. I think they slap it and it calls other other
They
beavers
use
in.
their tails to slap down mud when they're building their dams and their lodges.
Interesting.
Yep.
I don't know enough about beavers to dispute
Well,
it.
see,
so-
isn't it good I know some shit, motherfucker?
So, I don't know enough about beavers to dispute it.
Yes,
but,
that is what they do.
So now at the same time...
You might be thinking of sharks that when they hear slapping on water, they'll go to that for prey.
Maybe. Maybe.
I'm just trying to ruin this podcast for you.
Beavers and sharks are like the same thing.
I'm trying to make this podcast as little fun as possible.
So now they go over.
Now that we're talking about sharks,
they show the other house,
Yeah,
and
with,
now Buck has turned into a crazy zombie man. Zombie beaver.
Oh, yeah.
And he like bites Smith on like the neck.
Yeah.
And then like grabs him and holds him upside down.
Yeah, it was
and, like,
so weird.
eats his face.
Yeah, he's like
but like holding him upside down.
It was weird looking.
And then Zoe's in there like with a gun, and she's
trying
like
to
trying to
shoot
shoot him, but she keeps missing.
Yeah.
And she like runs upstairs to the bedroom and closes the door. Then the old lady gets up from bed, and she's now a zombie beaver.
Yeah.
And like she reloads the gun, and then instead of shooting it, just drops it on the floor
Yeah,
and jumps out of like a third-story window.
Yeah, like she does not know how guns work.
Just runs and
you
jumps
reload them
out
to
of a
shoot them.
third-story window.
Yeah, it was cool
and
actually.
smashes into the ground.
Yeah, it hits it hard, and we're like, oh shit.
And it's
She
like,
just-
well, she's dead. Because
Yeah.
they show her just laying there with her eyes closed. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, she's dead.
She fucking it was cool.
And then it goes over to the other,
A point
house.
I wanted to make though was like, how quickly do they turn? Because like, the Zoe and Buck turned like 8 hours later, but the old couple turned like an hour later.
No rules.
Yeah, no
rules.
No rules, just right.
Yeah, there's no.
Which
there's no rules.
which I wish I had said during our Dead Alive podcast, but
Well, that didn't take place in Australia though.
well, close enough.
So
It's an island off Australia.
oh, they hate each other. New Zealand
All right,
and
all
Australia
right.
hate each other.
I'm sorry, New Zealand and Australia. You are close to each other.
The Kiwis will hate that.
Yeah,
You
sorry.
called them Australian.
I didn't call them Australian. It's
yeah.
just a close reference to that. And obviously, Outback is not fucking an Australian restaurant.
It is though.
It's not Australian.
It's Outback Steakhouse. It's
Yeah.
an Australian restaurant.
It was-
They have a bloomin' onion.
No, it was literally like just made like to be a stereotype of what we think of Australia.
Steve Irwin always ate there.
Yeah, no.
Rest in
It's
peace,
not.
Steve.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you know something about stingrays? Is that
So now the beavers start tunneling through the floor. They start like smashing up through the floor in the
Yeah.
other house. They run into the bathroom, and she's like, "Take off your shirt."
yeah?
Like,
Mary and Sam run.
Mary
to
and
the
Sam
bathroom.
run into the bathroom. They close the door, and she's like, "Oh, take off your shirt." Like you think like it's so she can see that he's not bitten, so he takes
Which
off
it
his shirt.
is.
Spins around, and then she's like, "Now take it all off."
Yeah.
and like takes everything off, and
He's like satisfied.
and he's like satisfied, and she's like, "I guess," and he's like, "Well, now you." And she takes off her shirt.
yeah, she unbuttons her shirt
She unbuttons her shirt and,
And
takes
then,
off
like-
her pants in one fell swoop.
and then like pulls him in.
And then
start.
he's like, "What's this?" And he points to like there's like a mark
It
like
looks like
on
a
her
bruise or
side.
something. I
It
couldn't-
looked almost like a bruise.
couldn't
but
really see
You
it.
find out later that she was bit.
Yeah, she was scratched or bitten or something.
But so that happens, and like he pulls her, she pulls him in, like starts kissing him. I think to distract him that he was.
I
that she
think
was
so
bitten.
too. Yeah, she didn't-
and they start having sex in the bathroom, and then one of the beavers goes over to the electrical outlet.
Oh, yeah.
and lights itself on fire by getting electrocuted, and then throws its flaming body into the curtains.
yeah, to light the
the house on fire.
Like what the fuck?
It was incredible. So they're like making out, like doing this, and then zombie.
They're like, I smell smoke.
Zombie Jen smashes her head and body through the wall of the
No,
bathroom.
it's through the floor.
Was it through the
It's
floor?
through the floor because she then bites Sam's dick off.
Yes, that's
Which-
exactly what happened.
Yes.
She smashes through the floor and then proceeds to bite off Sam's dick.
And you don't like actually see dick.
And he goes, bah!
Yeah, but,
and
like-
falls on the ground and is like, bah! Like twitching all over the place.
You don't actually see his dick, but you see her like tearing flesh away.
Yeah,
and
and you're like, oh, it's his dick.
As a man with a dick, I'm like,
So they get it. She gets away.
Yeah.
Jen gets. Well, Jen's still in there.
Yeah.
Mary gets away. Too many fucking women's names in this movie.
Too many names in general.
Mary gets away.
Yeah, 3 women's
And
names.
she's like in like the living room where it's all on fire, and now Zoe smashes the fucking pickup truck through the front of the house.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And Jen climbs in.
Mary.
Whatever. The woman climbs in.
Yes.
Too many women in this movie. I'm used to movies with only one woman in it. Used as sex objects.
Oh, boy.
So they climb into
Hold on, that's not my stance.
they climb into the cab of the
Yeah.
truck, and she drives away. And now...
Which we're like, Zoe has become the hero of this movie. Which
the person who I hated in the very beginning...
She was such a monster.
Is now
and she's
like
not
the final girl. She's like the...
She's one of two final girls and is so crazy.
So she gets in... They're in the truck and they're driving. And,
yeah.
They get in the truck, they're driving, and she's like, now you see Hunter Smith. He's a zombie, he's a Zombeaver, but he has a gun, and he points it at the truck and shoots it, so now he can use a gun.
It's crazy.
And he shoots it, and they smash into it like a tree.
Yeah.
And now you see, like, there's a bear, and there's all the Zombeavers, and then, like, the Zombeaver people, they're all, like, surrounding the truck, and she's trying to get started. And the one girl's like, what is this truck surrounded in... What is this truck covered in honey?
Oh, yeah,
I was like, do bears really like honey? There's a question for you, Mr. Bearman. Do bears like honey?
I assume they do.
Like Winnie the Pooh, like they're trying to steal honey?
I actually don't know that. I'm sure they do.
Trying to steal honey pots.
They love anything they can eat, but they're omnivorous. No, they are. Some of them. No, they're not. Are they only carnivores?
I don't know. I don't know enough about bears.
Yeah, I guess they're carnivores. They might eat. They eat berries and stuff.
So they
right.
Tweet it. I have no idea. So
tweet at us.
Tweet at us if you know more about bears.
I know they eat grubs and I know they eat bigger animals depending on what type of bear it is, but I don't know how omnivorous they are.
So now they drive away.
Yeah, so
in the truck. They get the truck started, they drive away again. And she's like, why are you stopping? And she's like, oh, well, because there's trees blocking the road, we have to walk.
Yeah.
So they get out of the truck and they walk past Tommy, and Tommy's like underneath the tree going,
yeah, he's a Zombeaver
like
now.
He's a Zombeaver now.
Or just zombie or whatever.
And so they walk around and they're like, oh, now you got to cross behind the car and then we'll get out to the main road and we'll walk the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden...
so Zoe's walking with a limp with the
axe.
Which I don't know if you noticed, but it was a different axe as before.
Yep, we already talked about that.
Man, I don't know why I want to make you so mad this episode. So she's walking with a limp with an axe. Either
Mary
from a car
pulls
crash.
A gun on her.
Yeah.
Like, pulls a gun out, and she's like, where'd you get that gun? Yeah, it was a handgun. She's like, oh, the glove box. And she's like, you were bit and scratched, because, like, Zoe's covered in cuts at this point.
Yeah.
But she jumped out of a third-story fucking glass window.
And you were just in a car wreck, too.
And, and she was in a car wreck.
Seen the blood before.
So she's like, no, I swear I wasn't bit. I feel fine. She's like, you're going to turn.
She's like, I jumped out a window.
And she's like, well... Zoe goes, well, you can't kill me until after I turn, or else it would be murder.
Yeah.
And then just like that, Mary's eyes turn white, and she starts to turn to a beaver, and Zoe takes the axe, buries it right in her fucking skull.
Yeah, right in her skull.
And then chops up the body.
Just really goes to town on it.
And then limps away some more, like starts limping down the road, and you see a truck coming. She's standing in the middle of the road, and this was my favorite part of the movie.
This is the best part.
Because
this was the perfect way. Not with a jump scare. This was the perfect way to end this movie.
Yes. So she's standing in the middle of the road, and the truck is coming down. It goes into the truck, and it's Bill Burr and fucking John Mayer again. And he goes, you see that girl in the middle of the road?
And Bill Burr's texting again.
Bill Burr's got his phone out. He goes, yeah, I see her. And John Mayer goes, I don't think you do.
And then he fucking smashes into her.
He smashes into the thing, and then the movie just ends.
And the title. Oh my god.
Yeah, and then the movie ends. Yeah. And then there's like some bloopers. And one of the quotes on the thing is actually what's my favorite blooper in the movie.
Was this when they were having sex?
No.
I think there was a lot of improvisation.
So during the outtakes, Bill Burr and John Mayer were talking back and forth. They have a couple outtakes of different stuff that they were saying.
Yeah.
And at one point, John Mayer goes, I had a job for a minute as one of those sign spinners. And Bill Burr's like, oh, like for like a sandwich place? And John Mayer goes, yeah, like I plugged it in. I put some Christmas lights on it, tried to get paid extra. I strangled my penis. And you're like, what? He goes, strangled your penis? How does that happen? And John Mayer goes, you could strangle your penis. He goes, were you doing that flip behind your back and it came up around your taint? And he goes, my penis was in a full rear naked choke. And he goes, what kind of workman's comp do you get for that? And John Mayer has the best line. He just looks at him and he goes, you just get fired.
That was great.
I was like, they should have left that in the movie.
They should have left that in. That was really good.
Also, there was a Die Hard reference in it.
There was a Die Hard reference.
Sam...
I feel like a lot of things Sam said were references I wasn't getting, because he was saying them in a way that sounded referencey.
Yeah, Sam at one point's like, oh, come out to the lake, have a few laughs.
Yeah.
Like John McClane in Die Hard.
Yes. Which you hate, but I love.
Oh, I love Die Hard.
I know. But I'm trying to piss you off today.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Since I'm trying to piss you off, I will say it is not a Christmas movie.
So all in all, solid movie.
Yeah, it was good.
Like I said, I'd give it like a 5.
Yeah.
There were parts of it that were boring.
Yeah, there's parts that were boring.
That's my downside to it. Like at least in the first movie we did in the resort,
yeah.
It was a little slow in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then it picked up. And then, like, the whole rest of the movie was straight action, and it was a lot of fun to watch after, like, the first, like, opening 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun to watch. This movie was funny within the first couple minutes, then was slow and boring, and then was funny again, and then got slow again when they were in the house, and then funny and slow. They went back and forth between being funny and slow. Not a lot of action in this movie either.
No, definitely not, like, if you love zombie movies because you love the action, this is not the movie for you.
Yeah, if you love, like, people murdering the zombies and going, like, to town on stuff.
Yeah, this
not
isn't
the movie.
for you.
I think 1, maybe 2 zombies die in this actual movie.
Yeah, it's not really that, like, fighty against zombies. Like, Abe Lincoln versus zombies would be better for you for that. Actually, I did want to bring up something, which I'm only bringing up because I made a mistake. I said I think Haitian is a voodoo thing, or voodoo is a Haitian thing, so I don't know why he wouldn't. The African American guy would know it. There were Haitian slaves, so my apologies. That is all I wanted to say. I only wanted to bring it up because I just heard that.
I enjoy that they want to reference back to episode 2.
Yes.
And apologize this many weeks later.
Well, I just heard that somewhere, and I was like, oh, I should clarify that I was wrong.
So all in all,
yeah, anything we're wrong about, feel free to tweet at us.
And if you tweet at me and you say I'm wrong about anything, I will block you immediately.
Well, you don't have a Twitter.
And stop listening to the podcast.
No, yeah.
If we're wrong about anything, shut the fuck up about it and stop listening to my podcast.
I don't mind being corrected.
I do.
Yes, you are an atypical asshole, so yes, you do.
So,
you won't even let me talk about fucking animal facts.
This is not an animal facts
I'm starting
podcast.
a new podcast. I need who wants to start an animal facts podcast with me?
So, Zombeavers, final verdict. Check it out if there's nothing else on. If you're bored on like a Sunday afternoon.
I would say don't watch it alone. This is a movie to watch with a friend. Maybe if you're imbibing in some sort of alcohol or other substances.
Yeah, exactly. This is a good movie to have a couple friends, have a couple drinks, come to the lake, have a few laughs.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, it's that kind of movie. If you're like, we're not really going to super pay attention, but we just want to dick around for an hour and a half.
Exactly.
It's fine.
This is the kind of movie that you can watch it like for the first 5 minutes and like for 5 minutes in between that and understand what's going on.
Yeah.
It's not a plot-heavy movie. You don't have to pay attention to it. All in all, solid movie.
Solid movie,
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed the scene where there was a beaver and a man beaver chewing down a tree, like, together.
Yes!
That was kind of funny.
Yeah, there was a beaver and a man beaver chewing down the tree.
They tried to, like, stop the girls, but the girls got away.
Yeah, and they look at each other like they're pissed off that the thing got
so that was funny.
away.
Earlier on, there's a little boy fishing.
Yeah, and he has a hat on that says #1 dad. And he's like a 15-year-old, maybe 14-year-old kid. And I turned to Casey, I was like, whose dad is that kid?
Babies having babies.
Yes.
I was wondering if that was some sort of, like, rural joke, like, haha, they're having sex and having kids young. I don't know. It could have just been a funny hat. Because it was a funny hat.
Could have just been a kid wearing a funny hat.
I could see myself at that age getting that hat. I had a shirt that said Grandpa Rocks when I was younger. And actually, my brother, if you're listening, I got that shirt from you, so thank you. I don't have it anymore, though.
This movie not as good as some of the previous ones we watched.
Not as good as most of them.
Not a bad movie either.
No, it wasn't bad. It was,
for what it was enjoyable.
I think we've clarified our stance on it.
Yeah, I think so. So that's really it for this week.
Was there any good trivia or nothing really?
Let's take
I mean, you don't have to look if you don't want.
Let's take a look at the trivia.
Okay, and while he does that, let me tell you people about some animal facts. Okay.
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 Near the end of the closing credits, there is a disclaimer that says no animals were harmed during the making of this film, although the bear did receive a purple nurple. Not our fault. He started it.
What the fuck?
That's what it says.
That's dumb. That's not funny.
This is John Mayer's feature film acting debut.
Really? That's funny. And is it his last? Probably. Although he was good. I thought he was funny. And especially if they improvised. Because I know he tried to be a stand-up for a little bit, and I think that didn't go great.
Really?
Yeah, but he was good in this. Especially if they improvised, he was good.
Wait a second. We missed something.
Yeah.
After the end credits, there is a brief segment that shows a bee feeding on the corpse of a Zombeaver. Then the bee
What?
flies back to its hive. The result is Zombees.
Oh my god. That's
a movie I want to see.
That's stupid for two reasons.
Zombie bees.
One, because it's stupid, and two, because why would the bee be eating a person? That's not what they do.
Because no, it was eating a beaver, not a person.
Oh, that's right. They do eat beavers.
Yeah, bees eat beavers.
That is true.
Bees, beavers.
You know what's a good movie? Strange Wilderness. Have you ever seen it? I like that movie. It's funny. It's stupid and funny.
Oh, and while on the raft in the film, the girls are drinking Ipsum Lorem light beer. Lorem Ipsum is nonsense text that they use like when they're building websites and graphic designers
really? Okay.
use it.
Cool.
That's like a filler. So like
That's
just like a funny thing.
Yeah.
There. But not much else trivia.
Not great. Yeah, we can wrap it up. We don't got to waste these people's time.
Unless there's any kind of other funny goofs in here.
Not to imply that we're wasting your time. You're spending your time well. Good job. No, but seriously, thank you.
No, that's it. The only other thing they bring up is that the barrel of toxic waste in the beginning of the movie was obviously empty. It was obviously empty. Full barrels wouldn't float that high in the water, if at all.
Oh, true.
So that was the only other thing they pointed out.
That makes sense.
It
depends on how full it was of waste. Just depends on the density of the waste and of the barrel itself.
I guess, but it didn't look like it was lighter than water because it was squand. Squand, I think, would sink in the water.
Well, what if it was only a half full barrel?
It would still sink, I think.
I don't know.
If it was
but then the rest of the barrel's full of air. This is not what the people came here for.
Squand.
It's not squand. He's Googling squand. Don't Google squand.
Squand was actually the name of it. I wasn't entirely sure if it was called squand.
I don't think they're going to have the density on there.
What is the density of squand?
Squand versus water. Does squand float?
Dude, it looks like squand. They definitely use squand on that. I'm just
let me see the squand.
Like look at how like they're building up the
squand. Oh yeah, I remember
squand. It was squand.
I think it was more gack than squand.
Gack was almost too like liquidy.
No, gack was more a little bit gelatinous. There was some viscosity to
gack. Spelled G-A-K.
Yeah.
Gack.
Google it, people.
I guess it could be gack. Yeah.
It looks more like
maybe
gack.
it was a mixture of gack and.
What was the Nickelodeon slime? Because then it wasn't gack.
No. Nickelodeon slime, I think, was its own thing.
Yeah, that's when you said gack. I thought that's what it was called. I realized this is the worst thing we've ever done.
No, Nickelodeon slime is just like
slime.
Green.
Oh yeah, just slime, right?
It's just like green pink slime.
But it had a name. It was just slime. There's a dog growling in the background. It's fine. Let me tell you some facts about dogs. All
right,
the dog brain is actually smaller than the wild dog brain.
Well, this whole segment's getting cut out. Ladies and gentlemen,
you have to look up why.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Zombeavers.
Yes, it was. Oh, and I lost my favorite pen today.
But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that was Zombeavers.
Am I drunk? What happened? I'm not, by the way.
We had an opinion about it.
Yeah.
Watch it. Let us know what you think about it.
Yeah. We'll do some.
We appreciate you guys listening to the podcast and hanging out.
That's great.
Listening to everything.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it. We kind of, we poke gentle fun at you, but we do really appreciate you guys doing the old listen and subscribe. Yeah, definitely if you can, leave us a 5-star rating and leave us a nice comment if you can.
Yeah, check us out on iTunes, on Google Play, on Stitcher.
Anywhere better podcasts are found.
All over the place.
Yes. I think I stole that line from another podcast. I'm sorry.
So, we're all over the place.
I'm like super weird today. I don't know what's up.
Check us out on any of those. Check us out on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
My Instagram's at @mulsfe. It's down in the description.
Yeah. My Instagram and Twitter is at @ACaseyLynch, also in the description.
Follow us on Twitter at
Zomboys. Please
Pod.
follow us on Twitter at ZomboysPod. I will post when the movie comes out, and I'll also post usually the podcast comes out on Wednesday, so Thursday I usually post what next week will be, if you want to watch it, so you can listen along to this madness that we call Zomboys. I know
what the next episode's going to be.
Do you?
I do.
Oh, I might know too.
I don't think you do. We haven't discussed it.
Oh, then I don't know.
No.
A surprise for me too, listeners. What a treat.
I think next week we're going to get more into the serious.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
A little serious zombie movie starring none other than Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, Maggie?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't seen it.
I think that's what we're going to do next week.
I'm down for
I've wanted
something
to see
new.
it. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
And I'm interested to see how the Governor tackles a serious role.
Yeah, and we'll definitely make fun of his accent a lot.
Where he's not hunting a predator.
Yeah.
Or
governing over California.
Or running away from other men.
Yeah. Where he's not, yeah. Yeah, so maybe we'll do that. Probably, I guess. If you want to do it, we'll do it.
Let's do that. So next week, tune in for Maggie. That'll be week 6, the Attack of the Clones.
Yep. No, that's Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
One.
Week 6, A New Hope.
Yeah. No, that's 1. That's 1 for me. Fuck the prequels. I feel like we talk about the Star Wars prequels every week, just for a second.
Oh, we do.
Fuck the prequels.
We do. Because the prequels are the best ones.
Yeah, okay. Oh, man. Don't say that.
So,
I have one more plug, just my
Etsy
store, etsy.com/shop/Casey Lynch Studio. The link's in the description.
Yeah, check out the link in the description.
Since I'm rambling like a drunken maniac.
And we'll see you guys next week. Give us a listen. Check out the back episodes if you haven't checked those out.
Oh, definitely. They're great. They're really good.
They're better than this one, probably.
Yeah, probably. Every episode's better than every other one. What? What am I even saying? We gotta fucking end this thing.
All right, so we're gonna end this now.
Fucking blah blah. Bye. Don't forget, aim for the fucking head.